It was going to be so professional.
You tried it.
Welcome to the Guys Who Cry podcast. We are back.
Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsor, Monster Energy. Oh, nobody wants to hear that, dude. That's like a pet peeve on podcasts. Nobody wants to hear
They're not actually.
Slobber, me taking my Invisalign out.
We got a really cool guest on. He's back.
What up, bro? Courtland.
You guys have heard me talk about Courtland.
Hey guys, what's going on? Courtland here.
Courtland, what's your last name?
Garrett.
That's right, I remember.
2 R's, 2 T's.
I'm a terrible friend.
That's a fun story, actually, about
What?
Courtland's last name.
Oh, yes, that
I
is
love
cool.
this
I never told that story.
I remember the
Can
story.
you tell this story real
Yeah, I
quick?
got you.
I love this story.
Please.
It is so beautiful.
So I was born Courtland Bradford Dooley Jr.
Okay.
And my stepfather, who I call dad because he's my dad,
Okay.
came into life when I was 3. So when I graduated college, I changed my last name. So when they called me for my diploma, they called me as Courtland Dooley Garrett.
Sure.
And the funny thing is, my dad was like, yo, they messed his name up.
Your stepdad saying
Yes. So
yeah.
it was hilarious because he had no idea I changed it.
He
My
was
brother-
expecting your birth name to hear
Yes.
that at your graduation. You had already told
Yes.
them use the new name, I guess.
So my brother
so
had to explain to him, it's like, Dad, he changed his last name.
Wow.
And my dad was just like, oh, I've never even considered it. Like, you've always been my little is what he calls me.
You said that, not me.
Guys,
No,
we
wait.
did not say
But
that on
had
the
you
show.
you legally changed it already before graduation, or you just told them to use that?
No. So I went through the process of legally changing my last name so that when I graduated, my actual name would be Courtland Dooley Garrett.
Yeah.
So it was like my mom had to like approve it and all that kind of stuff with like the court and all that stuff. It's a process, but it's not super hard.
That's cool.
You were
All right. Well, see you
All
later.
right, good. That was a good podcast. We're just gonna wrap it up here, guys. Follow us. I'm just kidding.
Oh, we mentioned how I met Courtland before at his party.
Oh, let's not talk about that.
We can.
Nah, that party was wild.
Wild is an understatement for that party.
The meatballs were really good at that party.
Yeah, he said it.
He said it, not me. That's the theme of this podcast.
Yeah. So they met each other at the party. People make fun of me because I like to bring different friend groups together. So that's kind of what I do. And I bring my friends to meet up my other friends, and then we get this big group that we can all hang out at, and it's fun.
It was great. I think I was feeling like
You
kind
still had hair
of
back then too.
lonely. I had
Oh,
the
yeah.
hair, and I was like, dude, I really want to go to a house party. And you're like, whoa, speaking of, my friend's having a house party. I was like, oh, wow, okay, let's go to a
I
house
think I was
party.
like, hey, because this was like early in me and Adam's I guess I don't want to say like friendship, but like back in our early.
Attention, sorry. Go, keep it.
Back at like early in Greg and I's, Jesus goodness gracious, early in me and Adam's friendship. But it's weird saying friendship because we've known each other for so long. But
He's
like,
gonna
we've
move your
only
mic to
really
the
been
side.
friends.
No. Move Ruben's mic to the side of his mouth, so it's not in the frame a little bit. Yeah, that's good.
So let's just brief.
Yeah, so we can see your beautiful face.
My beautiful face.
Because your face is so sexy.
This is my
so
face.
beautiful.
All that facial hair. I
My
wish I had.
face, beautiful.
Such a man, dude. Such a man.
Sorry for all the editing, Greg.
Did you see that? You know that movie we watched, Uncut Gems?
Oh, with Adam Sandler.
Yeah, so like the girl who was in there, I guess she was on an interview and they're making fun of her because she said Uncut Gems like, yeah, I was the news for Uncut Gems.
She said that in the movie? What?
No, like in like a podcast. She's like,
Oh.
I was his news for Uncut Gems. Like everybody is making fun of it. Anyway, early in Adam and I's friendship, like this is 2.5 years ago at this point, and we were like texting, we were hanging out. This is when we were like working out in his garage because gyms were closed because of COVID and stuff.
Yes.
And Courtland was like, hey, parents are gone for the weekend. Let's have a house party. So I hit him up. I'm like, hey, this is a party that's going on. You should come out. And he was like, that's so funny. I was literally just saying how I wanted to go to a house party. And he definitely came at the house party.
That was funny though, because we talked about that where I didn't know him. And again, it doesn't matter, but he was like, when I came in, because it was mostly your African American friends. I think it was
was
only
all.
Yeah,
right.
it was
So
all-
again, just being a white guy, I'm not thinking of. I'm thinking Ruben. I'm thinking I don't know. Well, his friends are white anyway. I don't know, but like it doesn't matter. But it's just funny when you walk into a party and it's maybe a different set of people than you expect to be there, and everybody was wonderful.
and everybody
obviously.
loved Adam.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
fun.
they did. Some more than others. But it was
Be the only white guy at a party like that. I'm like fighting for acceptance. Like everybody love me, please.
it wasn't even like
No,
all
it was-
the-
your
it was
friends are so
it was
chill, dude.
it was a cool party because like Everyone was kind of hanging out with different groups, and no one was like cliquish at all.
No, yeah, your friends are not like that at all.
Oh, no, everyone's good.
Speaking of that, this is a really good segue into what Courtland and I were talking about on Wednesday. We were talking about code switching, which you've never heard this term before.
Yes, code switching, yes.
So code switching, if you guys aren't familiar with code switching is you mostly use for like when you switch the way you talk depending on what group of people you're around. So the way I talk to Courtland sometimes is way different than when I'm just talking to you one-on-one. And that's just the way we communicate. And so we had a huge conversation about this, whether it's like, if it's okay to code switch, like how it's really seen. And then we talked about like language code switching too. Like, is it,
Can you use an example? Like, are you using different slang? Or are you talking about different topics?
For instance, how we could speak about certain topics with each other, we couldn't speak about those topics with our parents or with our pastor, or this corresponds to when you're working. So at work, you speak a certain way, but then when you're around your friends, it's a lot different. So we hold on to the language, we hold on to the conversational pieces. So the idea of code switching is when you're around one group of people and you're speaking a certain way, and then when someone else outside of that group shows up, you change your demeanor.
You know what's a really good example?
Yes.
A customer service voice.
Okay.
So like if you work customer service and you answer, you're like, hi, thanks for calling Bloomingdale's. This is Claire speaking. And then like when they hung up, I'm like, man, did you hear this stupid person on the phone? Right? You know what I mean? It's like changing the way you talk.
Well, this is interesting. What's a way that you and Courtland and Ruben talk to each other versus Courtland, you and I? How do you think it's different?
So the thing is,
you can be totally blunt.
We're pretty straightforward with each other. We don't really code switch between each other. Ruben's seen it sometimes with me.
Yes.
When I'm around
sometimes I've seen it a lot.
When I'm around some of my friends, some of my other friends versus my parents, Ruben sees it a lot more. But with us three, we interact at a much more level playing field to an extent. So there's not much code switching between us.
Is there a different level of comfort between you and me and you and Ruben? I would say yes.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, a really funny story I have about code switching is you haven't met Steve yet, but I know Courtland knows Steve, right? And so Steve is a very like straightforward person too. Like when we're talking, it's like, hey man, how's it going? He's like, oh dude, it's going great, blah, blah, blah. Well, we had hired this, apparently like at this hotel we worked at, we hired this new like higher up guy. And he was kind of a jerk. He didn't really talk to us that much, right? But Steve was talking to two of the African American employees that were there, right? And he was like, yeah, man, like, yo, this dude ain't say word one to me though. He ain't say word one.
And
then like I let it go, and then I went back and I was like, hey Steve, I was like, what was up with the way you were talking to those guys over there? And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you said word one. And he was like, did I?
Oh, he didn't even realize it. Yeah. It's just,
it's become a joke. I was like, yo, he ain't said word one to me though. Like,
True.
Word one.
I'm like that with my brother a little bit where, like if I'm speaking to his wife, it's like totally, everything's so much more vanilla and clean and polite. And with him, it's just like, yo, Aaron, shut up. Go give me the thing, whatever, like.
Well, Courtland and I were like debating about language though, or whether language code switching is like kind of making people feel like they're not welcome.
So that's one of the ideas I came up with or thought about recently was when you're working in a field, let's say like for my field, for instance, we work with a lot of Asian people in the sciences.
Yes.
And a lot of Asian people are more comfortable speaking their native language than English, right?
Sure.
So, but is there a line between speaking a different language and we'll say just English for now when it comes to code switching? For instance, if I'm talking to someone that is of Asian descent and we're speaking English, but someone else comes up and they start speaking a different language mid-conversation, do we consider that code switching or is that just a comfort thing for them? Like, but then at the same time, you're also ostracizing someone from the conversation, which you could look at the other way. The other person coming in may not understand English as well. So technically they're ostracized. So there's layers to it. But I would like to ask you about that, Adam.
It also depends on who you're with. Like, so when I'm like dating a girl in another country, which is pretty common for me, as you guys know. So when I'm there, like if I'm in another country and I'm with their friends and family and they're speaking Spanish to each other or Portuguese or something, like I get it. And I guess I'm so used to it by now that I don't really think about it. But then they will also try to include me. And I think it's just that sort of emotional intelligence, social skills to try and include people in the conversation when they can. But it can be rude, like a nail salon, for example. If you're in a nail salon, I was in one recently, and I don't think they did it very much. It was an Asian nail salon. I think they spoke English most of the time. But I've heard, some customers complain about that because you feel like, oh, maybe they're talking about me or something. So
well, I know Laura
Yeah.
has said, like, when Courtland and I talk, we talk really fast.
My friend who speaks Portuguese. Yeah.
And so sometimes, like, Courtland and I will be talking, and, like, I guess you and her will be talking, and she's like, wow, I can't understand them at all. And it has nothing to do with ostracizing her.
And she understands English.
It's just a comfort level. Like, you and I are just talking, and we're not even thinking about this other person. Because, like, we have to talk about something. I'm not trying to involve, like, I'm not even thinking, like, oh, she doesn't understand what we're talking about. I don't know. It's just a weird thing to kind of, like, debate. Because, like, I've also had Indian people come up to me and try to start talking in Hindi and stuff, and I don't understand that at all. And, like, it's also on the flip side of it. Like, I've felt a little ostracized on that end too, where I'm like, oh, they think I'm not really Indian sometimes.
See, I think it also depends on what you prioritize in a particular social situation. So if I have a mixed group of friends, I tend to I prioritize making everyone feel comfortable. So if I can speak my own language to one person, and if I spoke a different language, try including someone else in the conversation, I would prioritize including other people in the conversation as opposed to just making myself comfortable. But that's just my personality.
That's an experience I kind of had when I went to, I was in DR actually.
Oh, okay.
And I was with some people, and one of the guys I was
When
with.
I was with you?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the guys.
Like, wait, did you just go
We went together to Dominican Republic. It was great.
So when we went to DR, one of the guys I was with, he spoke both languages, so he always made sure that I was actually a part of the conversation.
That's awesome.
I didn't always know what they were saying, but he'd always come back and say, "Hey, they're talking about the grill right now, and he wants to know how Americans grill because they grill a little differently and stuff like that." Right.
So nice,
that was really cool, kind of having someone make you feel like you're a part of the conversation, which is why, goes back to what Ruben and I were just talking about a little bit ago about how, you don't want someone to feel like they're not a part of the conversation language wise, but.
Right. Yeah, everyone has different sensibilities to that stuff too. Some people just don't think about the comfort level of other people in the room, and other people I think you guys are very socially conscious when it comes to that stuff. Mm-hmm. Good hosts, that kind of stuff.
Hosts with the most.
Hosts. Ruben, you started talking to someone recently.
Yeah.
That was a terrible segue.
It was. I mean, anytime I speak it out into the world, it usually doesn't go. Courtland actually didn't believe me. I just want to mention
That's what I wanted to bring up. Yeah.
I thought he was joking.
No, Courtland was not joking.
I thought you were joking.
Courtland was like, "Oh my gosh, you were serious?" I was like, "Yes." That's how in shambles my love life usually is. Is that Courtland thinks I'm joking about talking to women sometimes.
Ruben, I feel like this space, you dating, is just you being in your bag.
Oh, yes. What does in your bag mean, okay? Courtland, you've been commenting this on my social media all week, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
So,
to be fair, I think Courtland's using it wrong, too. But
no, but maybe it's a new definition of it.
Yeah, I'm definitely using it wrong, but I'm having some fun with it.
How do you define it?
So, you're just doing your thing. Like, for me, when you're in your bag, you're just doing the thing that you enjoy.
In your
element.
element.
Like, you're in your element.
Yeah, okay.
So, like, whenever Adam's trying out one of his new fits, he has the pole thing. He's
making my friends take photos of me,
he's
whatever.
He's where he's comfortable.
Yeah.
That's his thing.
Well, Urban Dictionary defines in your bag.
Yeah, because that's what I did, and I was like,
your feelings.
If that's the case, If that's the case, Adam is always in his bag. Then.
Yeah, I'm always in my feelings.
That's the whole point of this podcast is us being. We should change the name of the podcast to In Our Bag.
Yeah, in our bag. Yeah,
I found the spinoff.
Welcome to the In Our Bag podcast, talking about different podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
We were discussing Fresh and Fit.
Oh,
these guys are. I am not a fan.
Sounds like the worst podcast in the world. No,
Courtland, can you kind of explain what these guys do?
So Fresh and Fit is a podcast that discusses like financial advice, dating advice, as well as like real estate and other things for young men, or tailored to young men, but everyone's accepted and to join. Sure. But they also have a late night section where they actually talk to women and models, and they invite on other YouTube personalities or celebrities to partake in the conversations. And a lot of the stuff that comes about is usually in these late night conversations versus the informational sessions. And I think we were talking about which topic in particular?
So these guys are pretty misogynistic. They are, they believe in like transactional relationships. Mm-hmm. They believe they're like quote unquote alpha men, that we've kind of talked about, like in like the common version of that word. Like,
right.
They think like the man should bring home the money and like all of that stuff, and the woman should provide for the man. Like, which is kind of crazy. And anytime I hear them talk about this stuff, I'm like, you guys are talking about women as like property, which is like real weird, and real gross. Like, to be real frank, like I think that is just a disgusting way to talk about women. But like, I've watched a bunch of videos on these guys because they've been in the news recently, and they've been, a lot of other podcasters have talked about them and saying like, yeah, like these guys kind of don't know what they're talking about, or like they sell this vision to like young guys and like impressionable guys who are having trouble meeting women, and they think like this is the only way to meet women is by being this type of person, which is like, it's just a bad message.
And I think they genuinely believe it. And I've watched a lot of those videos. It's fun watching stuff on alpha males and all that crap. But it's interesting because to me, it's just an indication of, and I said this before, that I don't think they've had very positive interactions with women growing up. Maybe they'd had a mother that they didn't respect, or who was ostracized by the father, or didn't have powerful, influential female friends growing up, which I always have. I've always felt like my female counterparts were equals in every sense of in every way. So to me, it's just like, oh man, who burned you when you were younger? What bad relationship did you have? Now you feel like every woman you approach in such a way that it's very transactional, or you feel like there's a code to access every woman. And you can get any woman you want if you just say the right things, or if you treat them like crap. I've seen that a lot too. And I'm like, what?
So it's a very complex like story.
And I don't know what this podcast says.
Oh yeah.
Make these claims. Yeah.
So for instance, I have kind of an example of like how I understand this to be. So back in the day, there was the art of the game. I forget what the book was actually called.
Yeah.
But it was about like negging. It's about teaching young men how to get girls.
Yeah.
In a higher percentage way. And then from there, Steve Harvey came out with a book, and he talked about like a bunch of Steve Harvey's rules and whatnot, as kind of counter game to that game, right? So a game was developed for men. Steve Harvey came out with kind of a counter game for women. And then from there, the new iteration is counter game to that. So for instance, like Jaleesa, for instance, she was more of a Steve Harvey person.
This is your girlfriend.
My girlfriend, yeah. She had been through some experiences in relationships, so she was more towards like the Steve Harvey school of thought, where she wants to take things slow and she wants to put these rules out there, right? Well, for me, I never played the games. So for me, it felt like you're playing a game because you're playing a game to counter game. And I'm playing no game. I'm just here, but you're, using this game to prevent me from whatever it may be. So for me, that was very much like it was an issue for me, right? Because it's all games. So this is just the next level of that. It's another form of that kind of game,
right?
So the issue I have though is like, and now it's like spurned this like big off section of like other quote unquote alpha men who are trying to like do these things. And like the problem I have with it is that it just like generalizes women. And it's like, well, okay, there is definitely a subsect of women that want that want to be like the arm candy on some rich guy.
Yeah.
There's definitely that. But like a majority of women are like want to be hardworking and provide for themselves. And it's like why is that? Like, to me, it's just, it's, I can't even get through a whole like 5 minutes of listening to them before I'm like, all right,
I clock out sometimes too. It's very cringy.
It's cringy. And it's like, dude, like you guys are like saying these like blanket statements about women.
Right.
And it's like, well, a lot of women now are like, especially at our age. So for example, like for Adam and I that are two single men, at our age at this point, most of the women that we're going to talk to are established career women.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They're going to have their own life. They're going to have their own careers.
Right.
Whereas if this was like 10 years ago, there might be a little bit more of this, like, let's grow together thing. But the older you get, the more established women are, or at least, most of them should be at least. I mean, that's just like, I want to be established, right? Like they want to have their career established. They want to have this. And it's like, dude, like, they want to live their life too. Like they want, like a lot of women have their own houses now, which I think is amazing. Like there isn't this need to have like, to be like reliant on a significant other anymore, which is kind of cool. But like, dating around it, I think is an interesting navigation.
And I think they see women all the same way, but I also think they see men kind of all the same way too. Like all men just want one thing. We all think,
right.
And instead of seeing people truly as individuals, because human beings are just much more complex than that.
One thing they said, this was like one of the things they said, and I was like, all right, yeah, these guys have no basis with me anymore. They said if you're dating a quote unquote, they use this term high value man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. This term high value man, which is like they make money, they provide for you, whatever. Right. They say if you're dating a high value man and he goes out and has sex with other women and he comes back home to you, that shouldn't be a problem to you because he's coming back home to you. And I was like, what?
So the
high value man thing is just weird to me.
So when I listen to them, I don't listen to them as they're giving advice on how to maintain a healthy, long-lasting relationship that leads to a marriage.
Right.
They're giving advice on how to acquire and retain things of high value for an extended period of time. Like the advice they give isn't about, all right, well, this is what you do when your partner is upset and you don't know what's going on with them. They don't talk about that.
Yeah.
They talk about, this is how you get a girl to think you're worth more than you are. You rent this car, say,
Right.
like it's,
you
the
take the
conversation is
Instagram
different.
picture in like the fake private jet, like staging area. You know what I mean?
How do you get what you want from a woman, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as it seems and feels nasty, it works for the people it works for. I think in my head, this isn't something we'll ever experience.
Right.
To an extent.
Right. And
like, this isn't something
the general
weren't raised that way.
population
Yeah.
wants actual connection.
Yeah.
They
And
don't
honesty
want
and
to say,
openness. and-
I bring home money. I expect to come home to a hot meal, and it's like, all right.
The hard part
Yeah.
is
Let's be crazy because you want to be 100% honest. I would be a stay-at-home dad in a freaking heartbeat.
Yeah.
If a woman was like, "Hey, I make enough money that like you don't have to work and you can stay home with the kids," I'd be like, sold.
yeah.
Oh, you want me to bake bread? Heck yeah, I'll bake bread for you, girl. Like, what's up? Let me take care of the kids.
yeah, the hard
I'll
part
be a stay-at-home dad all day.
Yeah.
the hard part
All
is
day.
the hard part is trying to talk. The hard part is the internet's open to everyone, but the internet, everything on the internet isn't for everyone.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that they say, in particular, Fresh and Fit, isn't for everyone. It's for the people that want to be a part of that lifestyle.
Sure. And there are people on
But
both
they
sides who do
generalize
want that.
it. So like,
Well-
they make it seem like it's everyone.
Right.
Yes.
That's what's
I agree with
annoying.
you.
It's
I
like,
agree
oh
with
my
you, yes.
gosh. Yeah.
And so that's what really frustrates me. They prefaced it by saying, if you're looking for this type of person, this is what you should do.
Well,
I
they
would
do
be-
that sometimes.
Sometimes, but, like-
it's not the.
And
it's
that's
not
the limitation of their
disclaimer.
experience. That's probably most of the people they've been around in that particular subculture where they were raised, who they were with, friends, family, all that. That's what they're used to. If they had an experience growing up where like other people weren't like that, they were raised around relationships where people talked openly and loved each other, they would have a different experience, obviously. We were raised like that with people who are open, communicative, loving, kind, all that stuff. So, yeah, the games is so fun. Anytime I think I'm playing a game with a girl that I'm talking to seriously, or like we're not communicating intentionally to try to draw the other person in, like I try to stop myself from doing that and just say to her what you're thinking. And sometimes I'll just like send a text or say, I feel a little bit insecure today. I would like to talk to you a little bit more. I'm feeling a little bit whatever, And it's so nice because it just cuts through anything that could
Yes.
potentially be a game. And with somebody who really respects you, they'd be like, sometimes they'll be like, I felt like that too today. And then it's just like, there's no game anymore. Now it's just, let's figure it out, and we figure it out, and everything feels great. There's no anxiety. There's no tension.
It's
wonderful.
I can say that I'm really bad at that part of it.
Really?
Yes.
At what?
I
Like
can,
communicating?
the communication part. I can communicate about what's happening now. And
Okay.
what happened.
Okay.
But a lot of times I have issues with communicating what is going to be or what I want, partially because I'm very relaxed and kind of go with the flow. So a lot of times I don't necessarily look so far ahead to say, well, this is what I actually want out of the situation.
But you're probably fine. You're okay.
Well, yes, I'm fine. And I'm also working on that because with Jaleesa, she likes planning and she likes understanding what. Not what was or what is, but what.
What about communicating a concern in the moment? Like you're just saying, maybe I'm feeling a little lonely today. Or something. I don't know what feeling you would have.
I'm pretty good at communicating in the moment.
I would think so, yeah.
And then I think with the resolution of issues, we kind of are still working through that in the relationship, like figuring out how to communicate our issues in a way to resolve them. Now, she does believe in the not going to bed upset rule, which is nice.
Let's work it out.
Because it helps. But there are still the bigger things that you don't work out in one day that will sit there from time to time.
Can you give us an example? Is it too personal?
Well,
that's okay.
So how about I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
When you guys are in relationships, what are your rules around talking to other women, or even like exes or whatever it may be?
So for me, I am an open book. I mean, one of the weird things about this podcast is that when I do start talking to somebody, I tell them about the podcast pretty early because I'm like, I'm an open book. So they learn about all these stories in my life. So when it comes to women, I'm pretty open about that. Like, I'm open about one of my best friends, Lauren. Like, hey, this is a person that is really important in my life. She is going to be in my wedding one day. Like, I don't know how, but if I have room for her as a groomsman or groomswoman, she will be that person. Like, I'm pretty open about that. Also, though, like, exes are weird.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand everyone has different relationships. For me, unless the ex is, I don't know, it's weird for me. I feel like I don't really talk to exes at all. I mean, I'll be cordial with them when I run into them out in public, but am I actually gonna reach out to them? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
And asking the person you're currently with, their comfort level, and saying, hey, this is someone that I do keep in touch with sometimes. Maybe we dated 10 years ago. It doesn't matter.
Like Jess.
Yeah. Well, it's right. They're like if I started dating someone again, there's this person I've been talking to again, and they are aware of my ex Jess, they would be okay with it because they've met before. They're cool. It was a long time in the past. They would be fine with it, but it's totally on an individual basis.
100%. Yeah.
But I also wouldn't go out of my way to hang out one-on-one with my ex anyway, even if they're cool with it. There's no point to it. There's nothing either of us get out of it that much that we need to do that. If I have to talk to somebody as a friend, I'll talk to some other friend,
Yeah, it's just a weird thing.
Because it's like you want to make your current partner feel as comfortable as possible.
Right.
And it's like picking your battles. I'm not going to make some battle that I don't need to make. If I really just need to talk to a friend, go talk to some other female friend or my mom or whoever else,
I mean, that's what Lauren has been for me. There's been times I called her and I've been like, hey, I need a female perspective on the situation that I'm dealing with. This was like last year and I was thinking about breaking up with this one girl that I was seeing, and I called her up and I was like, this is how I'm feeling in this situation. Like, am I justified in my feelings? And like, she's one of those people in my life that I probably text her more than any other girl that I've ever texted in my life, just because like we've known each other for so long. She has a boyfriend now. He's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. And like, there's been times where like guys that she is seeing get a little bit jealous of me. Like, they call me like the other boyfriend. And I was like, well, that's gross. Cause like nothing against my friend Lauren. She's a very beautiful young lady. I just don't find her attractive.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of a fun segue into our last topic. That was really not planned at all. But
good segue. Better than mine. Yeah.
But we were kind of talking about attraction, and then we'll like start to like wrap it up here after this. We were kind of talking about attraction before, and because some of these other videos talk about like not so. The video I saw in particular was talking about this certain couple of these TikTokers out there that are plus size, and they say if you eliminate a woman based purely on their weight, it is a form of fat phobia. And to me, I don't agree with that at all.
The thing is, I'd never have to tell a woman why I wasn't into her. Just like, yeah, just, maybe I'm not attracted or whatever.
But you don't have to tell them, but
yeah,
like,
I know.
Like if you're on the app, like, yeah, I'm going to be honest. Like I do, I want women that are a little bit more fit. Cause like, I live an active lifestyle. I like to be out. I like to do hiking and stuff. And so that's important to me,
Yeah.
But Courtland, you have some preferences in your dating.
So just stay on the body shape fit thing. For me, I need my partner to be fit to an extent because I want to die first.
Well, I mean, you can't really plan that because your partner could be out on her morning jog and get hit by a truck.
So
anyway. Statistically speaking, he's probably right.
So like, I'm slightly
bring down the conversation.
I'm slightly joking, but if I have to say preferences, I mean, I'm very like, I like all kinds of stuff. I do prefer black or minority women, but
yeah, you've been on record as saying she's really pretty for a white girl.
Yes,
right.
Well, I was trying to keep it.
Hey man, but like, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Like why? Like I don't.
Because you're not. It's not like you're saying white
there's
women have a lesser value. You're just saying I'm not as attracted to them. I can't see how
when we
there's a
talk
problem.
about preferences,
Yeah, like Adam's preferences is like a mileage situation.
I don't have a problem. The farther away they live, the more attracted I
Are
am
they
to
in the
them.
continental United States?
I'm not interested. Okay.
so
meet
the
a girl
new
lived on the moon, that'd
conversation,
be amazing.
the new conversation
Come on.
around preferences is how do they put it? They put it a preference is calling in what you like, not calling out what you don't like. I think is how they're trying to frame preferences
It
nowadays.
sounds better, right?
So like if I say I prefer black women who are 5'8" and in shape, then like that's cool.
Sure.
That's my preference. But if I start saying I don't like white girls, I don't like if you start calling out what you don't like,
what you don't
that's
like.
when it becomes
Sure.
And if
the
you-
issues that people have.
And once you
nowadays.
actually say it out loud, it has the potential to offend or hurt
Yes.
someone.
So
Yeah.
and here's the thing. Like for me, I value mental attraction. Are you hungry over there, Greg? Greg's stomach just growled so loud.
Oh, I didn't
It's
hear.
so
Really?
audible.
That's
I'm
so
hungry
is-
too, man.
with them.
Shoot. Let's wrap this up and make a salami sandwich. Yeah.
I value mental attraction way more than physical attraction. Like there's a bunch of women I know that I
Yeah.
find they're physically attractive, but like I don't find them attractive. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I wouldn't want to date them. They're beautiful, but like they just don't do anything for me, for my head, like for my mind. Like I'm like, you know what? Like I need to be pushed mentally by a significant other. But you know, Courtland's dad wants to ask, or Courtland's mom.
mom, yeah, my mom.
So I was hanging out at Courtland's house one day before we went out to like me and Courtland went out to dinner, and I was saying, "Oh, I'm going on a date with this girl," and Courtland's mom was like, "Oh, is she black? Is she white? What is she?"
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
yep.
I'm like, "Oh, she's white." I was like, "But honestly," and I was sitting next to Courtland's dad, and I was like, "But honestly, like, I don't care what flavor the ice cream is, as long as it's ice cream." You know what I mean? And like Courtland's dad, I don't think has ever been prouder of me. He's like, "My man likes ice cream. That's what I'm talking about."
Oh, man, like,
But it's funny because then, you know, me, Courtland, and Jaleesa are watching this show, not all at the same time together, but like we're watching this show, How I Met Your Father.
Yeah.
And there's a character on that show that I've been like, physically, I'm like, oh my God, she's hot.
Oh yeah.
And then like, you know, anytime, I'm like, oh man, I really like this. Jaleesa actually said, "Ruben, I think you have a type, Ruben." And I was like, "Oh, what is it? Like beautiful Latina women that are out of my league?" But yeah,
Not a bad place to start.
yeah, it's kind of funny.
that's awesome, man. That's great, man. Well, thanks for coming today, Courtland, and chatting with us the very last minute. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
This was,
happy to come down and talk to my guys.
Yeah, it's good times, man.
Yeah, you know what they say about friendships? They are the best ships.
Well, they are good ships. They are
That's-
wood ships. They are
That's
ships
Courtland's
that
go-to
sail the
tier.
seas.
I think we said that last.
He does a
time was
toast
here.
every time, but it's
Not
great.
every time.
Yeah, well,
but
most of the time. No, it's good though. Anyway, cool, man. Check us out on our new Facebook page, Guys Who Cry Podcast. You can search it. It's a great hub for website, Instagram, YouTube. It's got everything on there. You can check us out on Instagram at Guys Who Cry Official and TikTok.
Is Guys Who Cry Official 2396. We did forget one thing though.
Yes. What?
Our mental health check.
Oh,
health check.
snap.
Get back on that.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, you wrote it down on the tablet where Ruben started to draw a picture of me and then he added hair. So
did add
I'm a little bit embarrassed. But yeah, mental health check. Go ahead.
Courtland, why don't you go first?
So
On a scale of 1 to 10.
I ride most days at about an 8.
And a 10 is being the happiest, 0 being the
I
saddest.
ride most days at about an 8 or a 9. Today's probably
Good.
closer to like a 7 though. It's a little
Really?
lower than usual.
Any reason for that?
Just things at the house is a little
Okay.
up and down from time to time right now. But
Okay.
nothing bad. Just kind of working through some growing pains.
Takes you down a notch. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Adam.
Being honest, pretty good. Yeah, probably about an 8. I don't know when I'm ever at really like a 10, but yeah, 8 or 9.
Yeah, I think I'm probably at like a 7.5 or an 8. It's been a really good week. Only reason it's really not higher is because of work. Work is rough. as
Stress
it
or tiring? Stressful or tiring?
both. It's just, understaffed and, frustrations.
Yeah.
Real quick, I was telling him at work, just it's frustrating that we have great employees and I can't reward them the way I would want to be rewarded if I was a
Right.
good employee.
Positive
Because, you know, it's a
incentives,
union environment, so there's things I can't do. And, like, if
Yeah.
I did do certain things, I would lose my job. Like I said, I'm about to go out with my own money and buy, like, gift cards. And they're like, well, you'll get fired.
That's wild.
Is that crazy? Like,
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a little
Okay.
frustrating. Greg, you want to pop on over here?
Oh, I don't know, Mike.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
It's all right. We'll skip him next time.
With that
Next
stomach,
time.
he's probably
Yeah.
a 6.
Yeah. He's so hungry right now.
Yeah,
so.
dude, we need to get some food.
Hey, guys,
Cool, man.
don't forget to get your merch.
Well, we're working on that.
We are working on
just
some
got
cool
back some
merch.
mock-ups from our boy Jimmy Scantron.
Yeah, shout out
What
Jimmy.
up,
Thank you, man.
Jimmy?
Thank you.
You
The
guys gotta
mock-ups
follow-
are
yeah.
awesome. They're
Follow
really
him on Instagram at Jimmy Scantron and his band at The Cosmic Guilt. So awesome.
definitely. Well, guys, thanks for listening this week. Tune in next week and stay. What's the tagline?
Be entertained.
There you
I'll
go,
take it
baby.
over.
Woo!
I'll
That's your
take it
go-to,
over.
Adam. Like, I'm used to hearing you say that at the end.
I know. I always forget it now.
Would you do it one more time?
Do it
for me?
again.
I'm a little
Do it
off. I
again.
think I'm hungry.
Hey, do it again.
Do it again.
Run it
Take
back.
it from the top.
Thanks for listening this week. Tune in next week and be entertained.
He nailed it.
He's in his bag.
I need to eat
Yeah.
a sandwich, man.